Right, here we go. Sid, Keith, amazing factory. Thank you very much for the tour. This is why you need to edit it when it's audio. Okay, brilliant. Keith, Sid, amazing factory. Thank you very much for the tour.
You're welcome.
So let's tell everyone all about Mars Knitwear. Where did it all begin? How did it all start? Sid, I'll go to you first.
Okay.
Yeah, go on. Tell us everything. Yeah, how did you start in the knitwear industry? How long ago was that? And when did it become Mars Knitwear?
I'll take you back to when I started on a shop floor worker as a draw threader back in 1974.
Okay, so first there, you caught me out. What's a draw threader?
All it is just you pull threads and you separate the colours. Right. Then I moved on to the knitting. I trained as a knitter. Then I trained as a knit mechanic, quality control. I progressed from there as a head mechanic. Then I progressed from the general manager, then managing director of my own company.
So when did you set up your own company?
Started back initially we looked at 1991. It's over 30 years now since Mars Knitwear started.
Yeah.
It all started as I ended up, although my passion was to move forward constantly. Once I reached the management, I thought, right, okay, I joined a very small company. I used to work for a very large company called Mansfield Hosiery Mills in Woods, and then I joined a very small company, and I learned how to run a small company. However, being my background in business for my family, I decided to go and start my own business. I only wanted to supply the store group. Hence, I had to work with all. We work with the latest machinery, which is quite a large investment. It's a lot of hard work.
Yeah. So when you say the store groups, you're talking about, when are we talking 80s? So we're talking about people like
90s.
Topshop,
My first customer was Adams.
Yes. Did they? Yeah.
Newborn.
Yeah, baby.
My first order was to supply newborn babies' cardigans. That followed up with Oasis. They were the customers. We grew our factory from manufacturing around 250 garments per week to 6,000. Initially, there was just myself, my wife, and 3 other employees.
So when did Keith come on the scene then?
Now, Keith, as we grew, the factory grew bigger and bigger and bigger. Our capacity grew, and I've known Keith for many, many years as a friend, and in his capacity as a freelance technician. There was a lot for me to handle, so me and Keith met, and Keith had his own company running as a freelance technician, which was too much for him as well.
So tell us a bit more about your background then, Keith, before you met Sid.
Before
And
I
you,
met
yeah,
Sid. Okay.
BS before Sid.
Before Sid, okay, fair enough. And I started actually in knitwear when I was 14 years. I was still going to school. I had a part-time job sweeping the factory floor and getting the tea and the cobs for the knitters and stuff. When I became 16, I took an apprenticeship at the company. It's only a small company, but I had an apprenticeship scheme. I did 2-year apprenticeship. I moved from there to another company in London called Pastel Knitwear, very old established factory. And I worked there for 14 years, worked my way up to the factory manager. I started from there to another design company called Ross Joffrey. They used to have a design studio at the top of the King's Road. Jean-Charles Carini was the managing director there. They would do a lot of Japanese stuff and a lot of special knitwear for one-offs and stuff like this. And then after that, I got an offer to come to Leicester to work as a factory manager for a factory.
An offer you couldn't refuse.
Absolutely. Offer I couldn't refuse.
Come to Leicester,
yes,
work in knitwear.
Actually, it's quite strange. I came to Leicester for the interview, and it turns out the chap who's interviewing me lives 6 miles from me down in London.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, a bit of a strange thing. So it's another London company that moved up to Leicester.
Yeah.
I worked for them for about 8 years, and I decided I'd work for myself. So me and Sid had seen each other around town and stuff. I was a freelance. But my very first job, my very first number one invoice that I ever made when I had my own business set up was to install Sid's first 2 machines.
Brilliant. I love it. So it was meant to be then.
It was meant to be from there. And I've worked for him for a long, long time on and off as freelance basis. But eventually, was it 2010?
2010.
2010 we had a conversation and we got together. And
so 2010 onwards,
took the business forward from there.
Yeah, we moved our company forwards where I could concentrate on sales, reacting swiftly to customers' demands. And that's what my survival was, on quick response. We're a very large supplier to Store Group. We were the only UK menswear knitwear supplier to Top Man.
Right.
And
that was in the 90s.
That was in the 2000s.
Okay. Right.
2004, when the Christmas jumpers started, we were one of the very early starters on Christmas jumpers.
But that's not the sort of product you're doing here that I've seen today, is it? So at what point did you decide to go more high-end? And do you want to describe, Sid, the type of knitwear you do at the moment?
Towards 2014-15, we found that Arcadia Group were importing more of the garments. All we became was a trial factory. So we would do the trials, and if they sold very well, especially if they sold a season, and they would move and import abroad.
Yeah.
Hence, in 2016, we decided, okay, now we're going to change. We're going to go into natural fiber, smaller quantities. Yes, there will be higher price because of the product we would be making, we manufacture. As it will leave a lot, it would lead to a lot of different processes to create a high-end garment. And
how was that? How did that go down with the rest of Leicester? Because there is generally seen that, maybe you go to Scotland for the high-end knitwear, and then you'll go to Leicester for more kind of acrylic yarns and higher volume. How do your other knitwear manufacturers in Leicester? How did that go down?
They see us totally different, because we have always been leaders in our knitwear. I've always been. Keith has always. Together as a team, we've always been leaders. We do things different. We are not. In simple words, we're not a sausage factory. We don't believe in vast volume. We believe in quality. We have passion. We're creators. We like to create new products. We don't like to copy. We're not copies. We're not followers. In other words. So and that's a passion that keeps us going even at this so many years behind us. Now I was just going to say how long we've been doing this. I'm going to say over 40 years, but we'll leave it at that. But the main thing that has gone, what we are saying is, people talk about ethical audit, right?
That's a bit
People
of a
talk about
buzzword.
ethical audit.
Yeah.
Our factory was ethically audited over 16, 18 years ago, before even ethical audit existed in Leicester. We were ethical audit. Our first ethical audit was done for Debenhams many years ago.
I did my time at Debenhams.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that was because one of the companies that started ethical. As my background, the company I worked for, Mansfield Mills, were 99% of the production was supplied to Marks and Spencer, and they were totally ethical. So my factory, from the day I started my factory, we believed in ethical audit. When we supplied for Adams, the factory was ethically audited. So we are probably one of the very few companies that were ethically audited at very, very early stage.
Because M&S, certainly when I started working there in the mid-90s, knitwear, you used to walk in their store and all the front of the store was knitwear. They always put knitwear first, didn't they? And they were known for quality knitwear. It's a real shame that they don't make their knitwear anymore in somewhere like Leicester, in somewhere here. But then I suppose you guys wouldn't want to necessarily work with someone like
No.
Marks and Spencer's.
No, we wouldn't.
They
I know how Marks and
industry.
Spencer
They did.
works. They dictated. They told you what to do. Even when we were supplying Arcadia and that, we said, look, this is our factory. It's not your factory. At the end of the day, we are the manufacturers, and we are the one that takes a risk. The issue with the store group was it's become more and more seasonal, and you couldn't keep the workforce.
Yeah.
And you have to maintain the workforce.
So that's a really good point then. What do you do, because you are a knitwear factory and a lot of what I've just seen going through here is beautiful wool and merino. What do you do to keep yourselves busy during the summer months?
Well, this is where we've spread ourselves on the high end. We have customers abroad, and they will order earlier. So that fills up that capacity of during our non-seasonal, the export. Also, we now have our own brand, and we have our own online. This is where we're going to move into a finer gauge, and that's how we keep ourselves busy.
So that's your nephew.
Forward production, yes.
So that's your nephew Yusuf that is behind the camera at the moment, but who does all of the website for you and the marketing and everything. Who I'm sure many people that listen to Make It British have seen on a video that he did for you. So he's pushing you forward and getting you to do things that are maybe out of a traditional knitwear's manufacturer's comfort zone. Yeah. Yeah. So Keith, what do you most enjoy about your job and about running Mars Knitwear?
Development.
Do you? Product development?
It's my passion. Technical fabrics, anything to do with development work. It's actually a situation where Sid sometimes doesn't show me the samples because I'll get distracted and I'll start on that one instead of finishing the one I'm on. I'm passionate about development. I
don't mention it because then that gets behind. Just to pull you back on our online business, Yusuf was given, when we had the mask, when we started our first product that went online was mask as a Mars brand. Yusuf had 10 days to have online up and running.
Really?
Yes, 2 weeks.
That's quite impressive.
So we did it about a couple of weeks.
We got the machines in a fortnight because we bought some machines for it and that, and Yusuf had the website ready for it.
Amazing. And your website looks pretty slick, actually,
Yes.
for a manufacturer. I have actually done a podcast episode saying why every manufacturer should have a good website, because actually a lot of manufacturers don't. But you obviously now you've got your... So I didn't realise your own brand, you only started in 2020 then. Is that right? With the new styles that you're doing. But for the Mars Knitwear brand and the Mars website,
yes,
is only since 2020.
2020. Yes.
It's been live in sales now,
Yeah.
Though we had our own Mars, but we were supplying the store groups and we were more B2B. We are now B2C.
So how have you found that transition then as a manufacturer, going from just working for other customers and you being behind the scenes, being B2B, to now having to deal with customers? And,
It's difficult, it's different, and it is difficult. In our trade, it's never easy. So, though it's difficult, you're dealing with customer response, you've got to respond because you're dealing with a B2C directly to the customer. And the customer sometimes doesn't understand. And you've got to make them understand why, they'll ask a question, and you have the patience. You have really have to have patience. It's different. B2B is different. You read the order, you complete the order, you've delivered it.
Yeah, in volume.
In volume. And it's different as well. In B2C, you're selling individual garments. Basically, it's a shop.
But as a manufacturer yourself, it means that Keith can do the product development and then you can test it, put it on your website. And is that how you do it? Do you make a small quantity of samples first, get it on the website?
Yes. We can make a minimum what we need, a small stock, and put it on the website, or whatever. Yusuf knows what's happening in the marketing at the moment and what's hot and what's not, and he'll push us that way.
You've got some really nice colours going through, especially for your new women's wear collection. Who chooses the colours, or is that dictated by the yarns that are available from the yarn suppliers that you go to?
Yarns that are available from the yarn suppliers, but also it's a trend. You keep an eye on what's happening and stuff like this. We don't sit on our hands doing nothing. We can see what's happening at the shows and stuff and see where the colours are going. We don't actually copy, but we just get a feel as to what direction they're going in.
We are researching all the time. Constantly in our mind, we look at knitwear. You know, we could say we drink, eat and sleep knitwear. So as soon as we see a knitwear garment, we look, you know, or even we say, right, what's the trend? Where do we go from here? And we are constantly looking at moving on, developing new styles. And it's in the market we're in, we have to constantly bring new styles, constantly. And what we are offering to the customers online is UK made, natural fiber, hard wearing product, long lasting, not a throwaway society. That's what I don't believe. I personally don't believe in a throwaway society.
Yeah, we've had this conversation, haven't we, about recycled polyester yarn versus wool. Keith, as someone that works, you know, has worked with the machines for so long, what you've obviously seen all different types of yarns and fibres come and go in terms of trends, and the latest one being the recycled polyester. What are your thoughts on that?
Recycled yarns, I can see the reason for having recycled yarns. They're a very difficult thing to knit.
Are they?
Yes, especially where you've got recycled polyester, because all you're basically doing is making something, you recycle it, but it won't go anywhere after that.
Yeah.
It won't compost down, it's still plastic, you're just moving it for a bit. The problem is still there, where with wool, if it gets thrown away and destroyed, it can be composted down. It will go back to where it came from, so to speak.
So what do you say to people that say, oh, but wool's a bit itchy?
Depends. A lot of our garments, we find with some of the British wool, people will say it's a bit itchy, and we do recommend softness and things, but some wools are itchy. If you wear them next to the skin, they will be a bit itchy. But our soft lambswool and our super softs are beautiful. You can wear them right next to your skin.
I had a good old feel of everything that was out there. There was nothing that all felt beautifully soft. But you've got a secret finishing process, haven't you?
We do,
which I wasn't allowed to film.
Which is secret, so that stays secret, I'm afraid. There's no lips are sealed on that one.
Sorry. The main thing with wool, what you could remember is there's two types of wools. There's the British wool, which gives you natural fibre. It's natural anyway, but British wool is worsted, spun. It can, although you feel it is harsh, but it's more for walking outdoor, right? And you can layer it. And those garments, the sort of garments you would have to take into account is make sure you make something that you can overlayer, so there's something you can wear underneath. We have customers in Scotland. We offer them the normal merino wool. It's a lot more softer. It's still the same arrows, but they don't like it because they prefer the natural British wool. Now, the British wool, we can say to you, it comes from the Suffolk breed wool.
Oh, okay.
The wool we use comes from the Suffolk breed sheep.
Yeah, so you can trace it right back.
Yeah, to Suffolk sheep, yeah. So that's what...
It's all about provenance these days, definitely. So what are your plans for Mars Knitwear for the future then? Who shall I ask first? Keith, what are your plans in terms of product development? Sid's like, oh no, more samples.
No. Product development is continuous. It's not a case of I can't say what we're actually developing at the moment, but it's just a continuous process for us. It never stops. Every day I'm doing some form of development or something for the sizing on the machines and things. So it's just an ongoing battle.
And who does all of your kind of wearer trials in terms of how do you test things out? Because you've got a women's wear range now. Yes. Who do you get to do all the fitting and the sizing for you?
We get models to come in to try them on for us. And normally some of the models we use for photography, they come in and do a fit first, and we get sizing from there. Plus, we've got so many years of experience, we know what size fits what.
And Sid, your plans, where do you see Mars Knitwear going over the next 5 to 10 years? Where do you see, in the bigger picture, UK knitwear manufacturing going in the next 5 to 10 years? More to the point.
This is the only way, the way we're doing is which like you have to use the natural fiber. The orders are getting smaller and smaller. You want to be in knitwear? Don't think it's going to be easy. It's tough, but you have to have the passion to do it. And you've got to love. You've got to love the product you're manufacturing. Are you going to wear it? If you think you're going to like and you wear it, then you're a knitwear manufacturer. If you just think, right, okay, I'm just going to make this product, just sell it. No. We've got to say to the customers in UK, look, it's made in UK, it's natural fiber, the product you're buying from us is going to last you. But it doesn't come cheap. Because it's an obvious reason. Our wages are higher, the development costs are higher, the yarn costs are higher.
Yeah.
So the product itself is not a cheap throwaway product. Yes, the biggest issue in UK is getting the skilled staff.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that because you've got quite a lot of linking machines out there, haven't you? And that in particular.
And this is where we're going to now move. We have got linking machines. We are moving our production, not abroad, we are moving in-house, but to minimize the knitting.
Yeah.
But the linkers that we do have at the moment, we have trained here. We've managed to get a very experienced lady who has done years and years of linking, and she came and trained our girls for us and boys.
Brilliant, I love it. So there's, both. And are they younger than your average linker?
No.
Right.
It is difficult to get young people interested in coming into a factory, especially in Leicester. If they do have a little bit of a bad reputation.
I don't know. I mean, we've just been to another factory this morning, and they have actually got someone that's just graduated this summer. So maybe you should try out the local colleges and see. I think things are changing over the last few years in terms of young people, especially with the sort of quality of product that you're producing here.
You see, when you say a younger graduate, that may be as a designer, because I employed a young graduates.
Yes.
They've been designers, but they must be mostly be designers, which is a high-end job again. I'm talking about the shop floor worker like linkers, lock stitches, overlocks, cup seamers, knitters. That's where the shortage is. You cannot get a young, born and bred UK young person to come and work in those fields. Yes, we are offering training. We are offering a reasonable salary, a good reasonable salary, but linking, they won't.
Why do you think that is? Because you've both said that you both started your careers working on the shop floor. Why do you think that the young people can't see the potential in where it could go, that they one day could have their own factory?
Well, the thing is, in our time, when we started on the shop floor, there was no such thing as call centres. Right?
Why would you work in a call centre rather than a knitwear factory?
That's the mentality of a young person today. Because people, when I dealt with top man, I had young buyers, very young.
Yeah.
I had assistants, BAAs and BACs, like assistants. And I always used to invite them to come to the factory and say, come and see how a garment is manufactured. And they all were surprised how much skill is required to manufacture a garment. Because as you see, if you think, oh, it's a jumper, what do you do? Take a bit of fabric, cut it, sew it together, and put it and sell it. At the moment, we knit shaped garments, which have got to be knitted to size. When it's put together, you've got to match the sleeves, make sure the quality, make sure the stitches are correct when even linking. So it's quite a skilled job, a skilled operation. And I always invite anyone to see if they want to come and see a knitwear factory and how much work that's involved to manufacture a knitwear garment.
Brilliant. So that's a good one to end on. Is that a call to if anyone wants to come and visit then they can come to Mars Knitwear and see where all the magic happens.
Yes.
Yes, they can write to us.
Definitely.
Yes,
Brilliant.
Contact us.
contact us.
We love it. Total factory transparency. Guys, you've been amazing, and thank you, Yusuf, for arranging this little visit today. Incredible. Really enjoyed my tour of Mars Knitwear and meeting you chaps. And
Thank you.
I'll definitely be up again soon.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye.